of Iron Man, and frankly, the journey of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe started with the journey of Tony Stark. And the exciting thing about Iron Man 3 is, yes, it's the culmination from Iron Man 1 and 2, but it's also a follow-up to the Avengers. And in a way that liberates it to be more unique than anything that has come before.
Mr. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, this is great. Good things tend to happen in threes. What we really have this time, and anyone who's read the script and the excitement getting ready to do this, is we've kind of earned the right to bring this to another level of complexity. And Shane, through his writing and directing, is making this by far the most ambitious, the most story-oriented, the most character explorative of all of these movies ever. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Shane Black's Iron Man.
Robert is the kind of actor that challenges you in a way that's exciting. Hanging around Robert keeps me on my toes. It's just a really challenging and invigorating kind of creative relationship, and I feel it brings out my best.
I'm here working for you. The Academy, there isn't even a camera. Hi! Shot one down! All right, we got that. 22,000 to go. Welcome to Tony's Workshop. Having been reintroduced to my humility by Sifu Eric Oram, we're going to look at a previs and we're going to start talking shop. What I really like so far is this as the first command, is I'm in control. And then if this is what he's trying to do to call the first one, crap.
We've got the Suit Connect sequence, which basically involves Tony Stark trying a new move where he has control of the suit pieces. He's hoping that they're all going to sort of fly over to him and connect.
All right, I think we got this. Send them all.
Doesn't quite go as planned. A few of the pieces go AWOL, and unfortunately, he goes flying.
We're marking key points on his body so we can track wherever his body goes, so that we can then put the Iron Man suit on him. We're gonna get him, we're gonna scoop his legs up.
We wanted the ability to be able to suit up anywhere, anyhow, without
A giant gantry.
He's basically drilled little outlets subcutaneously beneath his exterior layer of skin that can draw the suit to him when he wants it.
Nailed it. We're at least setting up that there is a language that does stuff, that would give us an opportunity to figure out what is it that calls the whole suit.
We like painting Tony into a corner and taking away all of his toys and all of the immense wealth and assets that he has and leave him with just his mind and see how he can get out of that situation.
This was the very first sequence that we storyboarded, the first sequence that we prevised, and the most exciting. We had it tied pretty early on in the process. The sheer panic that you should have throughout the sequence is that he's not going to make it alive, nor is Pepper, nor is Maya.
The mansion was designed by the first production designer, Michael Riva, and he did a brilliant job. What we did is we tweaked it and made it a little different and bigger and changed the art, kind of shook it up a little bit so the audience feels like they're seeing a new place, but they're familiar with it. And then we built it on a huge platform on a large stage in Wilmington. It was built on a gimbal. And for those who don't know, a gimbal is basically a platform that can bend and tip and go like this. Well, this one just broke in the middle and just bends. And it's like the Brooklyn Bridge. They built this big steel armature, and they were literally able to just drop the set.
Robert was really interested in having Pepper do more in this movie, and I just say, I got you.
So awesome.
There were talks of Pepper getting in the suit at the end of 2, but Marvel wasn't ready to do it yet.
Frankly, just didn't have a great idea of how to do it. But we really loved that image. We thought it was a striking image. And then Shane Black had an idea that there's an attack on Tony's house. And it's a lot of fun to see Pepper and Tony team up in a great sort of old-fashioned action movie way.
I didn't mind wearing the suit at all. I thought it was light and perfectly comfortable, and my children thought I was extremely cool.
I don't want to stay here. You're right.
Get here.
One of the things that I wanted to do is get as much practical stuff inside the house as possible. So whenever you're inside the house, we wanted to at least have a set on a gimbal and have the house splitting apart and have, rupturing and all this dust and debris falling and massive explosions coming in, and it was spectacular. So all the interior was done. It was a good basis for us. And then all the exterior stuff, it became 100% digital.
Early on in the development of the movie, we did talk about back to basics for Tony.
What if Tony Stark had to be James Bond for a little bit and didn't have his Iron Man suit?
So by the end of the first act of Iron Man 3, he finds himself in the middle of the United States of America, completely out of his element.
Ooh, it's brisk.
Tonight we're here in Rose Hill, North Carolina, which is the name of the actual town we're shooting, but we've also incorporated it as the name of the town in the script. It's actually doubling as Rose Hill, Tennessee, but it's got this fantastic water tower that we just thought was so great that we just wanted to keep the name.
We want it to be photo-real. We want to have a real sense that people live here. You know, Iron Man is probably our most reality-based franchise, and having this town a real place, I think, just underlines that.
And action! We came here a year ago, and this was the first place we came, and the entire town, it's hard to believe it, this little town was kind of a failed little town. It had kind of closed up. This whole side of the street, all these businesses have been shut down. It was the right scale for our movie. We wanted a whole town that was like in and out, organic, so you go in and out the doors, you come out here. You don't need to put a backing out here. You would rather build a set in a small storefront. And luckily, this was a church, actually, before it turned into a bar. We got the parishioners to kind of shut down and moved them for 6 months, and we made it into a bar.
It's so seamless. It looks like it's always been here. It looks like it's been here for 50 years. He's basically turned the entire town of Rose Hill into a backlot that we can do whatever we want with.
We happened to bump into Tony Stark. My character's quite excited to see him, so she decides that she's gonna play with him before she kills him.
I still can't tell you, like me or you don't like me. Let's take a break, make me an omelet or something.
This battle comes to a small town, and it's fun to watch the dynamics of these people that are outsiders trying to get by, and they belong there about as much as he does.
Congratulations. You made the top 5 weirdest things I've ever seen.
We were up there for about 3 weeks, working from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day. I tore down a water tower at 2 a.m. in Rose Hill. I'm like, who does that, man? What'd you do at work today? I tore down a water tower.
He unleashes this huge torrent of water. We started planning this about 6 months ago, just this one water tower gag.
It's a lot of water, but you know, there's a nice little sweet spot for any talent that needs to be in there. But bear in mind also, this is probably about maybe a quarter of the amount of water that we're going to end up doing with the second unit.
This is going to be great in the DVD extras. How's that, better? We wanted this film to have the best act 3 of them all.
Here we go.
You kind of think about images you want, and then how can we reverse engineer that into a really cool situation?
We're here tonight at the Port of Wilmington, and at this location, you're going to see all these different Iron Man suits swoop in at the last second and just go head-to-head with what essentially amounts to supercharged human beings.
Tonight, we're doing a lot of aerial shots where we got the helicopter up there, and he's getting the big wide angles of the final battle fight between Iron Man and Killian. Earlier on, we had a few stunt guys leaping off the ends as if they're trying to catch the CG Iron Man flying through frame.
Shooting here is amazing, but it's obviously a logistical challenge. So we come here to sort of establish the whole real location. We've taken apart different pieces of the actual structure. A control room, a moving cab, a piece of a wheel set so that we can go in there with our actors, shoot all the amazing action that we need to make the sequence work.
I've been spending the last couple hours on wires and flying and getting to do stunts and really get my hands dirty, so to speak, and have a lot of visceral fun.
Sorry I can't be with you. As you can see, I am slaving over a hot trilogy.
Doing that kind of fight scene at the end of the movie was my favorite part of doing Iron Man 3. It was fun to kind of be wild and be a superhero and flip around in the air and do all this kind of fun stuff. It was great. Look alive, boys!
You're sort of dealing on one level with very real, organic, down-to-earth stuff, things like stunts and fight stuff and wires and jumping off platforms, etc. And then on the other side of it, you've got the visual effects team working round the clock.
We went sort of hog wild when we were told that there should be extra suits.
We created 41 suits. We have never done that. I mean, at the most, we had created 3, I think, on Iron Man 2. So to try to keep them different is a challenge, but it's been really exciting to bring to life, like Igor, which is this gigormous suit. Not to be confused with a Hulkbuster.
There's a couple of beats where you might see Heartbreaker or Hammerhead or all these like multitude of nicknames that they all have. But just for those few seconds that you see them on screen, you have to believe that it's a real practical suit. And so every single one has to be brought up to the same standard.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
It's been amazing. People seem to like what we're doing. To know that the world is watching is an honor, and there's a lot of pressure, so we just want to keep telling good stories.
Tony Stark is as popular as Iron Man, and that's what makes this so thrilling to see. And obviously Robert bringing that to life is a big part of that.
Iron Man 3 worked, and it's been 2 years of crossing our fingers, and tonight's the payoff.
Writers had a great idea, which was basically to throw 13 people out of an airplane and have Jarvis tell Tony he can only carry 4. So how in the world, as they're plummeting to their death, is Iron Man going to be able to save them? And Tony begins to fly down and grab onto people and tells those people to grab onto the next person. And suddenly, with this great show of teamwork, you have 13 people all latched onto each other with Iron Man blowing his repulsors to stop their fall.
With something as complicated as you can imagine of people falling out of Air Force One and Iron Man ultimately saving them, how do you achieve it? And your first approach is, let's do it on the green screen stage. We can hang the actors. We have a lot of control. But our second unit director came on board and said, I know the Red Bull skydiving team, let's do a test.
I don't believe a lot of people thought it could be done practically. And I'm like, I know we can do this for real. I actually got a bunch of the skydivers that we're using, and we went out to the airport and spent 2 days jumping and doing some of the harder various bits of the sequence.
It was so successful that we said, let's shoot it this way. And I was still skeptical, thinking, are we going to get all these shots?
And we start building custom costumes with hidden parachutes. Jake Brake is the one who did that. He's been doing that since the very first Moonraker, when James Bond jumped out of the airplane with no parachute. He spent about 2 months building all these hidden parachutes and testing them. 8 days to shoot it. We ended up making 62 airplane loads, over 600 parachute jumps, 480 some hidden parachute jumps, which is by far bigger than any kind of a sequence like that's ever been done before.
Watching dailies, it was truly terrifying. And seeing the cameraman point, from 10,000 feet in the air and you see the ground approach, it's phenomenal. Having Iron Man in that scene and 13 people falling adds such excitement because it's visceral. You feel that they are really in midair. You can't really achieve that anywhere else.
I'm pretty proud of pulling it off. Not to mention that at the end, we continually swung them back and forth over the Cape Fear River.
That was the very last part of the sequence where I think they were about 80 or 90 feet up in the air. We started them zipping down, and as they come down over the water, then one after the other, we start releasing them from their zip lines. That was mostly the brainchild of Jim Churchman.
We didn't want to do the CGs. We want real people, real water, real sky. We want, real speed. It just makes it that much more epic.
This is a 165-ton crane stretched out about 160 feet in the air. We have another 90-ton crane that's stretched out to about 75 feet. And we basically have a 15 zip line rig set up that's motivated by a vehicle. We run them up to 30 miles an hour, get the shots we need, and ultimately drop them in the water.
It was a big deal. Came off amazingly flawless.
Ready and action!
challenge of these films from the visual effects point of view is just the sheer massivity of the amount of shots and how we go globally to make sure that we get all of this done within the time that we have. The technology is always being perfected and getting better.
One of the key things with all visual effects is you want to make it spectacular and interesting, but you also want to try and make it as real as possible.
I think what's really cool is that Iron Man has this heroic moment, but technically is super challenging. There's a certain way that you skydive to protect yourself and not just to dump. So we needed to feel like we were just, these bodies are dumping and they don't know what to do.
You needed to make Iron Man look like he's in control and that he's diving, he's propelling himself from one person to another. And that is a very tricky thing to do because ultimately you're shooting it as you're skydiving it. So you're shooting it as the plane is a vertical drop, and you try and get some moments where you've got some horizontal play in there.
In the story, we're jumping from a 25,000, 30,000 foot altitude and you're falling all the way down to ground or sea level. One of the problems, obviously, when you're jumping out of a small plane and you're doing these stunts is that you're shooting from anywhere from 10,000 feet down to 4,000 feet when the parachute's open.
Pretty much every environment that you see has been created in CG. So we actually pick a look that we like, and then the company that did this, Digital Domain, they went on and created this beautiful map paintings with the proper terrain at the different heights.
We get high satellite images that we use as our reference, and then we move geometry around and move the coastline and animate waves, and then put in clouds and have clouds whipping past camera to imply that we're falling.
I got you! In every shot, the skydivers are real. Some of the shots we did have to go with digidoubles for a few things, but the energy that you get from that shot, I don't know that you could have gotten any other way. Here's the plate shot. They have their Iron Man stand-in and Heather. So we've got backpack and all kinds of issues that we have to work with. This is the shot. Not quite final, but where it's currently at. Getting Iron Man to stick to Heather was really, really challenging. They're moving and vibrating. The cameraman is moving and vibrating. The background is not moving nearly as much. At the beginning, we intended to use the real hand, but we found that we just couldn't get it to track right. So we ended up just going with a full CG hand and sleeve. And then here you go back into the real plate.
From a compositing point of view, probably one of our most challenging sequences. In this case, the altitude in this particular shot is dramatically different. Obviously, adding in the Air Force One, the damage, all the effects work, and then making it look like Florida, and adding the cloud layers, and then adding, levels of atmosphere, and also to make the background look more interesting, we changed the focal length of the shot, which then, in order to make look correct, we then changed the trajectory of the falling divers.
There are bits here and bits there that you collage them together, and sometimes we have 10 layers of that, and sometimes we have 2 layers of the real photography that we composite with the rest of the environment.
It's been an incredible sequence to work on, but it's based on reality, which is the key thing.
Hundreds of artists work on it.
It's a frame-by-frame job. It's just handwork. It's just artistry, and it's great to see it.
These stunt people are phenomenal, and they were able to perform panic and fear in a way that if we would have had all the time in the world, we probably would have been able to do with CG humans, but we were able to get it with them, and it was great.
That aerial sequence was a huge passion of mine. I really wanted it to come off perfectly without a flaw. That's one of the best experiences of my career.
Everyone was on board. There was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, and I think that's what led to the success of this. It's truly wonderful to watch.
It's always a great prospect in movies to throw in what is surely an impossible task in front of a hero, where it looks like there's absolutely no way that the hero can get out of it, and then watch them proceed to figure it out. That's one of my favorite moments in the film.
This was by far the biggest practical stunt scene we've ever done in any of our films. Bigger than anything in the previous Iron Man films, or bigger than anything in Avengers. And the fact that it's cut together so well is pretty exciting.
All right, Jarvis, but it's only half done. We still gotta get through. That came out of nowhere.
You wanna look at this?
security badge, please?
Happy. My phone's ringing. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
This is like,
But it's part of the thing.
unprofessional number 101. Excuse me. What's not normal, however, is challenging the world's biggest terrorist to a...
Go. Bring it right from there. You got it.
A what? Cage match. Yes,
Relax.
in this house is very normal. And you know what else is very normal?
What?
Challenging the world's biggest terrorist.
Let's try that again. Get back in here. You're fun too. Let's just do it. Let's try it from the top again. I love it when she's laughing. That's when I start enjoying myself. Talent's ready.
What is not normal is you challenging.
And again. It's the best. It's a lot of words.
Just like you're gonna be back at school.
From where?
Yeah, another painfully obviously. What the hell is
Back to
happening?
Aren't you Don Cheadle?
What do women really want?
Rabbits. I don't know. Rabbits?
It was fun.
Okay, I'm gonna read it to you once and see if you can just follow me reading it. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Me too.
Me too.
It used to be easy.
It used to be easy.
I drove you around.
I used to drive you around.
You chased tail.
You had a few drinks. You almost got killed.
You made a
built
suit.
a giant suit.
It was simple.
It was simple.
I understood it.
I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I can't do this.
Back to 1.
I'm sorry, what's the line here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Make it happen. It's your
It's your
side.
scene. I'm
You're
supporting.
this-
What number are you
you're
on the
this
call
side.
sheet? I'm set.
Action. Excuse me,
Anyway.
Miss Potts. Your 4 o'clock is here.
Why do you continually disobey me?
Coffee phone fell on the floor.
Hit me with a plate. Hit me with a plate. No, normally I'd go for that sort of thing, but talent's ready. Sorry, honey, my bad.
Still rolling. You're all right.
Freeze. Omelet on face. Keep rolling.
And look!
Damn it.
Where are we looking?
Split screen. Don't ever give us any information. It's John Toll's fault. John Toll's fault. It's John Toll's fault. Hit him. Hit it. Yeah. Beautiful. We're on the way. I'll face camera no matter what it takes. What kind of crappy suit is this? By Jove, I think we got it. Heartbreaker, will you help? What's his name? Red Snapper. We always cover the ass.
Get a few drinks, drive you around. You build a suit. You stop some crime. That I understand. Not this super friend. What's going on? You go around with a bunch of people twice your height and half your age, and you walk around like you...
Happy, I've been off camera for 2 hours. There's no reason to keep going.
Oh, okay, then you'll cut.
Hey, Harley. Who's that, your boyfriend?
Laugh it up, EJ. Do you know who this is? This is Tony Stark.
Tony Stark's dead.
What the hell was that?
can hear me, make a noise! Anyway. EJ! EJ! I'm going in. Do me a favor, grab some help, will you?
Tony!
Got him!
He's doing.
Nice work, kid. Wow, look at you. Come here. Easy, 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 easy. Okay, I got an idea.
Stop breathing. No pulse.
Space. My bad, don't touch him. You're gonna get shocked. Hands off.
Where we go? What?
On my side.
Tony? Tony? Tony! Go! Tony! Put this thing back You good?